Welcome everyone to the second episode of Azure Security Center in the field. Thank you very much for all the feedback that we received regarding the first episode. And today we have someone here from the ILDC team, the Azure Security Center engineer team, that has been working with these capabilities that we are going to talk about, which is Secure Score, for a really long time. So I'd like to introduce you to Miri Peer Landau. Miri, thank you very much for being here today. And please give us a little intro about what you do in the Security Center team.
Sure. So hi, Yuri, and thanks for inviting me. So my name is Miri Peer Landau, and I'm a senior product manager in Microsoft for many years. Specifically, I work in Azure Security Center for the last couple of years, and I'm focusing on what we call the cloud security posture management, which is basically all the infrastructure for recommendation, for policy management, and for secure score.
Excellent. And this is a very important topic nowadays because Security Center, even on the free tier, it gives you capability to monitor some of your cloud security posture capabilities and the workloads with the secure score. So tell us a little bit about how customers they are utilizing the secure score and why they should be utilizing for the ones that are not.
Sure. So first of all, we know that the #1 cause for a data breach in the cloud is basically because resources are misconfigured. So for organization, it's very important to make sure that all your resources in your organization are secured and configured in a secured manner. And you always need to have this visibility across all your infrastructure to make sure that you're secured. With that, Azure Security Center basically continuously assess the different resources and bring you with a set of recommendation how to configure your resources in a secured manner. On top of that, we have the secure score, which basically is a KPI. It's a way for you to measure and track your security, because the more your environment is secured, it means that your secure score is higher. And that's why this metric helps organization to track the secure score in the organization and know where they are in terms of security and how they expose to attacks.
That was an excellent explanation, Miri. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's a great way to continuously monitor your environment. So how the security score works behind the scenes is every time that I remediate a recommendation, will I see any change in my security score? Can you give us an explanation about that?
Sure. So basically, the way that our recommendation system works is that for any resource, we do a continuous assessment, and we provide you what is the recommended secured configuration. Now, we grouping this recommendation into what we call controls, security control, and each one of the security controls represent a mitigation for a security risk. And you need to follow basically each one of these secure control in order to secure your environment. Now, we want to make it easier for our customer to focus on the things that are most important to do first in order to secure your environment. And therefore, each one of the security controls has a score, and we prioritize the actions that you need to do by this score. And every time, basically, that you configure a resource through the different recommendation inside a control, then you gain more points. And basically, you need to make sure that a resource is configured for each one of the recommendation inside a control, because that means that this resource is really configured in a secured manner, that you completed all the desired configuration, and then you get the relative points for that resource. And you can, as more resources you fix, then your score is higher, which means that you are more secured. And soon I will show it in a demo.
Great. So just to make sure that we are on the same page, in order for the customer to really see change into the security score, he needs to remediate all recommendations within the security control, right?
That's true.
Okay. What if I have in my corporation some assessments that I do that are not part of the Security Center default assessment, default policy. Can I add some custom recommendations?
Sure, that's a great question that we often hear from customers. So let's say that you're using a different anti-malware solution that you would like to be reflected in Azure Security Center. In that case, you can write your own custom policy using Azure Policy Custom Policies capability. You can surface it, you can onboard it to Azure Security Center, and it will show up in the same recommendation system as any other recommendation, and you can start tracking that.
And does it have a specific security control in which those recommendations are going to be aggregated?
Today, all the custom recommendations are aggregated into one control, which is called custom recommendations. And you can also see this custom recommendation in the regulatory compliance blade in a dedicated tab.
Awesome. Is it possible for you to demonstrate that?
Of course.
Yeah, so let's take a look on the Secure Score custom recommendations on the next demo that Miri is going to show us.
So this is the Security Center overview blade. You can see here that you have the secure score. In a glance, you can see that in this case it's 65%. There is still way to go to improve the score. I'm going to the secure score blade. In the secure score blade, you can see the list of the different subscriptions in your organization, and you can see the score for each one of them. Now, you want to see, okay, which action do I need to take? So we're going into the recommendation blade, where the list of all the security controls and recommendation. This is basically the action that you need to take in order to improve your score. So, as mentioned earlier, we have here the security control. Each one represents a risk that you need to mitigate. For example, enable encryption at rest or secure management ports. You can see that the list of controls is prioritized by your potential score increase, which means that if I will fix all the remediated vulnerabilities, then I will increase my score in 10%, which is basically the 6 point. You can also see that the max score in this case is 6, meaning that the number of points that I can gain is 6 points. It means that all the resources here under this control basically can get max to 6 points. Now, if I open a control, I can see the list of recommendations that I need to do. Some of them, as you can see, have the quick fix label, which means that I can run a quick fix. I can run remediation in a click of a button. I can basically select the resource that I would like to remediate. In this case, to enable a built-in vulnerability assessment solution, I click on remediate, and basically I'm done, which is great, and you can increase your score quickly. Now, what is important to notice that in order to gain points, you need to fix a resource in all the relevant recommendations. So, for example, for apply system update, for a specific virtual machine, I need to follow several recommendations in order to gain points. For example, I need to install the monitoring agent. I need to make sure there is no agent health issues on this VM. I need to install the system update and also to restart the machine if required. Only once I finish these actions on the specific machine, I will get points for this machine and my score will increase. So this is basically the model for secure score.
And I see that you have down there the custom recommendation that you were talking about, right? This security control.
Yes. So all the custom recommendations that you created by your own and you onboarded to Azure Security Center appears here in the custom recommendation. So for example, you can create your own custom recommendation, your own custom policy in Azure Policy. You can onboard it. The way to do it basically is you go to Security Policy A reminder, every subscription that joins Azure Security Center automatically gets set of default policies. So from the first minute we start to assess your resources with the default policies of Azure Security Center. And as mentioned, you can also bring your own policies. So you can see here for this specific demo subscription that you have the ASC default. You can view the effective policy. You can also decide from this view in several steps. You can also disable some policies that you would like to disable. You can also here add more regulatory compliance standard that we support. And here you can also add your own custom initiative. You can click on here, and this takes you to an experience where you can go either to Azure Policy and create custom initiative and onboard it, or you can use one of your existing already custom initiative that you can just add. And once you do that, basically the recommendation will just appear in the custom recommendations control. So this is a very powerful capability to enrich the current recommendation system with more recommendations. The main thing about score is to make sure that you always improve your score. And as you know, the Azure environment is very dynamic. More and more resources are being added, and you need to make sure that they are configured in a secured manner from day one. In order to do that, you might want to put automation in place. One of the ways to do it is either to use like deploy policy, deploy if not exist policies, or deny policies in order to achieve that. And you also can use workflow automation. Workflow automation basically allows you to do all kinds of workflows that you define using Logic App in a certain criteria. So for example, there are predefined trigger that you can set, that once this trigger, for example, either a new threat detection alert, or for example, any security configuration on any recommendation or on a specific recommendation, up to you. You can decide that if, for example, there are new resources which are in an unhealthy state, then you can launch a Logic App. And this Logic App can be many things. It can be either remediation scripts, for example, to install agent. It can be, for example, to send email to the owner to go and fix. It can be to connect it to some ticketing systems. So there's a lot of opportunities to use automation with workflow.
Yeah, and I just want to also make sure that everyone watching this episode know that we do have a GitHub community page. Yeah, that we have a lot of samples there of different automations. As you can see on the screen, you can access the community page directly from Security Center, and there you have a lot of examples of automations.
Yeah, so you can. I really recommend you to go to the community GitHub. In the community GitHub, there is lots of goodies. There is, for example, we have remediation scripts that you can use. We have tools for secure score that I will show in a second. There are examples here also for custom recommendation. For example, one of the interesting custom recommendation that you can also use is, for example, to identify whether there are specific extensions installed on your VM. This is also a popular custom policy that you can write. So there's a lot of things, and also worth to mention that in the community we also have lots of blogs that you can read and see many new tools and knowledge that you can leverage in how to use better Azure Security Center.
Excellent. Miri, going back here to this topic, one of the things that I noticed in the Security Center dashboard is that you do have the visualization of your security score at that moment, but is there any way for me to see how my security score looks throughout the month, for example? There is any dashboard or anything that I can utilize to see that?
Yes. So one of the things that we want to push organization is basically to track the secure score, right? This is the main KPI, and you want to see how you improve over time and kind of push your organization to track that. So we released Secure Score API, and I will show you the API. So this is an example. You just do a simple API call, and it returns you the score. What is your current score? This is very simple, and you can also do another API call if you wanna know the distribution of the specific controls and the score per each one of that. So you can see the max score, you can see the current score for this control, and you can see how many healthy, unhealthy, and not applicable resource. So all this information is available in our documentation, and you can look at the API. The reason that I'm mentioning the Secure Score API, because this is a door for you to basically use this API for automation. You can start and extract the data on a regular basis, the Secure Score data, and build your own report. But to make your life easier, we also in GitHub we provide you with a simple logic app, which basically use the API and allows you to extract the data of the Secure Score into a workspace. And on top of that, we providing a tool which is a Secure Score Power BI. And here is a demo of how it looks. So you can basically extract the data on several subscriptions, and then using this Secure Score Power BI dashboard, you can start and do the tracking, and also to do a root cause analysis to understand what made changes, why the score changed over time. So, for example, you can see here the aggregate score for these two subscriptions. You can see the trend. You can see the change in the last 7 days or last 30 days. And you can then start to explore, okay, what happened? Why did it change? Whether it's because they changed security status for some resources, maybe they were deleted. You can see the trend for each one of the controls.
This is great. This is really nice. This is really nice.
Yeah, this is something that we get a lot of good feedback. So this is really can help you to track Secure Score, make sure that you improve over time, and take actions.
And how customers can get this Power BI? Is it on the GitHub as well?
Yes, it's all available in the GitHub. It's under the Secure Score. It's under the Secure Score directory, and there is also a specific blog post that walks you through how to use this, and just go ahead and try it. It's a really 5-minute setup, and you have it going.
Miri, this Power BI dashboard is mind-blowing. Congratulations to all the team that put this together. I know that there are some researchers in Israel that work with this, so kudos to them for putting this together. And any final thoughts and considerations regarding not only progressing on the Secure Score, but ensuring that my Secure Score stay up? Do you have any final advice on how to keep my Secure Score high? Because we noticed that a lot of customers, they put a lot of effort to remediate a lot of things, and then new resources are added and the Secure Score drop again. They keep going those back and forth. So what would be your advice on that?
Yeah. So I talked to a lot of customers, and I think my main conclusions and takeaways is that first, you need to have a process in your organization. You need to have a governance processes that push the adoption of using and tracking Secure Score in the organization. You need to educate the people in the organization how to use Azure Security Center, and again, make sure that you track it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you must have automation in place, otherwise you will always chase the score. So use enforcement capabilities in order to make sure that these security configuration are in place and they are there from day one. So it can be automation scripts, it can be using Azure policy to do enforcement, it can be workflow automation, but make sure that you have automation in place so your resources will be compliant from day one. And the last thing is always look at our community, because there are many things, scripts, tools, new things that you can just leverage and will make your life easier and help you to improve your score.
And if customers, they want to contribute with the community, make sure to have a GitHub account, push some automations, and we will review and approve. So the community, as the name says, it's an open community. If you have good examples on how to automate things and you want to contribute, you can do that as well, right?
Sure, and we are very happy to get more content and leverage others' knowledge to other organizations as well.
Miri, this has been a fantastic time with you. Thank you very much for taking the time to record this episode. A lot of great news, a lot of new capabilities to help our customers stay up to date on their secure posture management. Thank you very much for the time, and thank you all for watching another episode of Azure Security Center in the Field.
Thank you very much.